Hey, Internet, Kari here with Live Clean, Fight Dirty. Far and away, the number one question that I get from people is, what is Jujitsu? The best answer that I can give you is that Jujitsu is the word from Japanese for fighting someone when you're close enough to grab them. There's a lot of offshoots, variations, brands, techniques, styles, additions, families, lineages, politics. It's a really, really big umbrella, a really big group of techniques and principles. Most commonly and most notably taught by a man named Takeda around the turn of the 20th century. His family had been practicing this for who knows how long. Some people say up to 1,000 years. I don't know, I wasn't there. It's characterized by binding people up, taking their balance, taking their structure, and dropping them. Originally, it was all about, hey, my weapon system's broken down, my sword, my spear, whatever, or, I've been surprised somewhere out in the world and I need to protect myself. Around the time of the American occupation of Japan, two really, really, really amazing practitioners of Jujitsu came up with their own formula, their own brands, their own styles of techniques that took a slice out that was appropriate for the context of the time. Meaning, on one hand, you have Morihei Ueshiba. He created from this subset of Jujitsu techniques, martial art or martial practice called Aikido, which is beautiful. The techniques are fluid and round, and it's stunning to watch people who are really, really good at Aikido do Aikido. In terms of a fighting art, there's a lot of give and take on both sides of that. There's some people who argue that yes, it is. There's some people that argue that no, it's not. My personal most trusted authority has told me that yes, it is. It's derived from a fighting art, but it's designed to generate a really powerful, really fundamental, great body that moves well and transmits energy well. And so it's a good practice for people who are fighting, as opposed to being, this is how you snap someone's neck. It's about, this is how you create a good fighting body, good fighting movements. By the way, if you do them right, you will drop somebody on their head, but that isn't really, in my understanding, the emphasis of it. On the other hand, you have Jigoro Kano came up with his formula, his style that he called judo. Again, amazing practice, super athletic dudes, grabbing each other, turning them, dropping them. But the emphasis on this side is sport. It's, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, the national sport of Japan. Kids learn it in high school. Like, every kid learns this in high school. So you have this subset of techniques that is incredibly fast, incredibly powerful, but again, doesn't encompass everything that Jujitsu did, because they're not striking, it's one-on-one, it's refereed, it's on a mat. So the set of techniques that they have works really well for the arena that they're in, but it's not this whole umbrella. Nobody practices the whole umbrella. Even in Takeda's Daitoryu Aiki Jujitsu, there is, no kidding, like 2,000 techniques. I don't know anyone who could just rattle them all off. Nobody. People took notes, people kept records, people would practice them and then put them aside and then revisit them and then table other ones, and there's a lot to it. But really, the principles are very simple, and the movement styles are all very similar from one technique to another. So when you start to look at what it does as a whole, you get this picture of a very unified movement system. Move on down the line, you get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is what happens when somebody who is amazing at judo goes to South America and meets an incredible wrestling family. The Gracies, bar none, amazing athletes, amazing martial artists in their own right, for their own arena. Because of the fact that they lived in Brazil, you had to know how to stand up for yourself. You had to know how to fight. But their main focus, again, was this one-on-one competition, specifically in terms of submission wrestling. So what you have is, again, another subset, another focus, specifically derived for one purpose, but is still very much a martial art, still highly respected. I tip my hat to those guys because they are tough as nails. But their focus is different from what Jiu-Jitsu originally was, but it's still very much Jiu-Jitsu. It's just not all of Jiu-Jitsu. For me personally, I teach a very narrow subset of Jiu-Jitsu. Out of those 2,000 techniques, I teach 9. Reason being, I want to teach those fundamental movement patterns. I want to teach people how to go home safe. So I really don't care about how do you fight somebody who's holding a spear, how to ward off sword attackers. And then the way that we fight as Americans is very different from the way that classical Japanese people fought, because they were fought. The way that people fight in our current culture is very different from the way that people fought 500 years ago. Westerners, myself included, have a tendency to put our hands up. If we're gonna hit somebody, we're gonna hit them close. We're not going to do these sword-shaped movements. People have fast hands, so we have to tailor what we're doing towards this environment as opposed to that environment, that time period, that cultural context, whatever. So the Jiu-Jitsu that we practice at my school is literally just focused on taking a person who is in our space for whatever reason, putting them on the floor, going home. So we focus less on submission grappling, on striking, on the really, really gorgeous technique that Aikido does. Our mission, our mandate is really simple. I want every single person that I teach to be able to quickly, efficiently, pragmatically take a person who's in their way, hurting them, hurting somebody else, drop them, go home. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Look out for more videos in the future. Cheers.